Hey Hearties, you're listening to the Hearties Hotline, your connection to Hope Valley, hosted by me, Casey, and my friends Caroline and Cammie. A special thanks goes to our friend Brian Bird for letting us use the music on our show. Without further ado, grab a scone from Abigail's and enjoy.
Welcome back, Hearties. We are back, and we are back with the one and only. We promised to bring him back, Mr. Papa Hardy. Hi, Brian. How are you doing?
Hi guys. Good to be back with you for part two.
Yes,
of this,
absolutely.
Epic podcast.
That's right. That's what we like to hear. You heard it, Hearties. Papa Hardy himself called this an epic podcast. That has to be some kind of omen, you know.
Yes.
Go big, or go home.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's just start in. Let's just pick up where we left off, and let's actually talk about the series. We talked about all of the the exposition. We talked about all of the exposition on how we got to the series. So now let's talk about the series itself. So take it away, Casey.
I think last week I should have had my Pastor Frank caller on, because somehow I got caught up in my own sermon, and you guys were just like, just preaching at you for an hour. So
we loved
anyway,
it.
We adored it. We adored it. So,
good.
And you know how much the Hardys love hearing from you. So they are eating it up.
I love communicating with the Hardys anytime I can. They're next to my wife. They're my favorite thing in the world. So,
good answer. Good answer.
My kids might have something to say about that too, but I'll say they're number 3 for now.
I hope your kids don't listen to podcasts.
They just sort of roll their eyes when Dad comes on the camera, like. Okay, whatever, Dad, whatever.
How is Patty, by the way, really quickly? How is she doing?
She's doing really well. Everybody's healthy in our home. Nobody has caught this bug.
Good.
Her brother-in-law, actually younger brother, did catch COVID, but he made a fine recovery, and he's doing okay. Good. So, but it's been fairly, dispersed around Colorado, not too heavy where we live. So it's been fairly safe. So we're doing fine. We're a little stir crazy. So
understood.
She had a birthday not too long ago, didn't she?
She did. She had, if you can believe this, that pretty lady had her 60th birthday.
Oh, and, no, she's not 60.
She did. And I'm definitely sort of in the luckiest guy in the world club to have a wife who looks like that at 60. I guess I've taken the brunt of all the aging in the family. But we were going to do a really cool, birthday for her.
Yeah.
We have never been to Niagara Falls, and we were going to go to Niagara Falls with everybody. We're going to bring all the kids and everything and do it up right. And we ended up getting takeout food with one daughter at home to celebrate her 60th birthday. So I have a feeling once we get free of this virus, I got some catching up to do.
Vacation time!
And our 40th anniversary is this December, so hopefully we'll be able to sort of do a big bash for birthdays and anniversaries all together. So anyway, but she's doing well. Nice. Nonstop parties.
Non-stop parties.
Well, and that's the place that for Hope Valley, right? Nonstop parties.
Yes. Yes. And we wish Hope Valley was going to have a big party this year. Sadly, we've had to push the pause button on Hardy reunions and Hardy family reunions this year. And, that was really sad for us because Patty's been a big part of helping plan those, helping me plan those with our volunteer team over the years. And, it's like that's not happening with a 14-day travel, quarantine when you land in Vancouver right now. And the other thing is that a lot of us Hardys are sort of in the most vulnerable category.
Right.
Right. So we can't imagine what that would be like, having a hotel ballroom full of 500 very vulnerable people.
Oh, gosh.
Just was not in the cards this year to do it. And, maybe there's some alternate version that we can do. And we're talking a bit about that, but I don't have any news to report on that yet, but, maybe soon we'll be able to talk about that. But, Lord willing, there will be a season 9 next year, and everybody can get vaccinated for this darn virus, and then we can all feel free to be hugging and buzzing the tables for selfies and all those kinds of things, and take a trip together on the buses out to Hope Valley, because it's been honestly one of the most fulfilling things about this experience with the Hearties has been to see how happy and delighted the Hearties are when they come to the family reunions.
Yeah.
It's so fulfilling for all of us to make that connection, to make it personal, and to make it high touch and high and lots of intimacy with the cast and the crew and Hope Valley, the location, for the Hearties to be able to visit and take pictures to their heart's content. That to me has been such a valuable part of the Hardy legacy, and we don't want to see it end. So we will do it again, Lord and virus permitting.
Yes.
Well, I'm almost glad that you can't do it this year because I still can't afford it. So maybe next year I can afford it. Because I haven't been none of us have been able to go yet. So that it must be. Yeah. We can only imagine what an amazing experience it would be when we're finally able to get there. So wonderful.
Well, we do our best to keep the cost at a minimum.
Of course you do. Yeah.
It's international travel. So just there's a certain aspect of it that is just sort of, there's no way to change that part of it.
Of course not. No.
And not.
Yeah. But, hopefully we'll see you guys for the Hearties family reunion 6 next year. That would be cool.
Yes.
So.
Just crossing our fingers.
Yes. We're gonna hope. All right. Yes. Let's go there. Let's go to Hope Valley.
Okay.
All right.
Let's do it.
You take it away.
All right. Let's take a little walk down memory lane to 1910, since that is when the series began. But before that,
let's do it.
Do you remember who coined the name Papa Hardy?
I don't. I certainly did not do that myself. I think what happened was that there was on the Hearties, official Hearties Facebook page, the group page, which we're closing in on 90,000 members of that page, which is amazing. And do you know that we've counted maybe I said this last time, but we've counted 2.1 million people who self-identify as Hearties.
Oh, wow.
Right? That's not me calling you that.
Right.
That's people who self-identify as Hearties, either, where on all the different, social media platforms.
Yeah.
And if you go to Facebook or Instagram, you can find hundreds of When Calls the Heart and Hearty, fan pages that are all self-administered, in addition to, the more official ones we have. So
I've got one for Austin. I've got one for the Austin, Texas area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, so I think what happened is that somebody suggested in a post, a contest, to nickname me.
Oh.
I think Papa Hardy was the one that won, and then I think the one that came second was like Boom Master B or something like that.
I remember that. Yes.
I do not remember that.
Yes. This was around the time James and Marissa had their podcast.
That's right.
AfterBuzz. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and Papa Hardy just stuck, and I personally think I'm hip enough for Boom Master B, but I look more like Papa Hardy. So it's like. I started thinking of myself as, the way they talk about Santa Claus in other countries. Papa Noel is like, really? Am I that old, guys? But I'm happy to wear the Papa Hardy, banner of Papa Hardy. I'm happy to take that on. So
we love you as Papa. You rock it. Yes. Yes. That's a good way of putting it, Caroline. You rock it.
And stir it a bit too. So anyway, yeah, I think that's where that came from. And
but you don't remember who?
I'd have to go back and dig real deep on that Facebook page to remember who sort of coined that. But I was happy just to be Brian until people started to say, no, we need a nickname for you. So that's okay. That's good. But that's good for me. I'm happy to have that. Happy to be the Pied Piper of the Hardy movement.
There you go.
If nothing else.
We follow very willingly. So in the beginning, you wrote several episodes, correct?
Well, yeah, I actually, for the first season, I was the head writer and showrunner.
Right, that's what I thought.
So both Michael and my hands were all over all that, every episode. But after the first season, it was such a grind on our families that we said, you know what, we've got the show launched now, and it seems to be doing pretty good, and it got, and got renewed by the Hallmark Channel. We all just said, let's get some other troops into the room, and we will help supervise that process. And so that's kind of what we did, and it allowed us because both Michael and I were in Vancouver for like 6 months for that first year.
Wow.
Because we were micromanaging everything, trying to get the show launched in the best way possible. And we didn't know whether it was going to come back or any of that. And so we just agreed, let's get more help. Because really we had our writing staff was mostly freelancers that first year, because we were on a shoestring budget. We were trying to do everything we could just to make the show and make it look as good as we can. So we didn't have any full-time writers except for me. And Michael was directing episodes. And so I was really, having to do the lion's share of the writing. And so I had a team of good freelance writers who wrote episodes for us. And then I would have to bring them home, essentially, and put our stamp on them. And in the TV writing business, there are some, I would say, egotistical showrunners who put their name on every script. I don't believe in that. If we have another writer who's been hired to write even a freelance episode, I will even if it requires doing multiple drafts of that script to get it to the place that it needs to be, I never take their names off it. And so I ended up just, having a good team of freelancers that year. And then I sort of was sort of the shepherd of everything that first year. But, it's hard on a family doing that. The other shows that I've done this on have all shot in either Los Angeles or Salt Lake City. And I didn't have to be up there the entire time. And so my family, my wife and my youngest daughter came up for about 6 weeks during that first year. And we rented a house and they were there for 6 weeks, but it was just too hard to make school work happen that way. And so we just sort of agreed, okay, well, I'm going to try to get home a few weekends during the show. And then you guys come up for 6 weeks, but it was just hard. It was hardship. And it's not that I don't, and I loved micromanaging, honestly, because I feel like we really got the show launched in the best way possible. But the second year I said, I'm not doing that again. I will go up for, big chunks of time, but I'm not going to be there for the entire time. And so, but the technology is such now that we can almost do our work from afar because I can read every script right here in my office and give my notes, and we can have Zoom calls and Zoom meetings for all the different departments. And I can look at edits of the show multiple times and give my notes for what my suggestions are. And so it's just worked out. And we've had 3 head writers since I was a head writer. We had Robin Bernheim for a couple seasons, and then we had Alfonso Moreno for a couple seasons. And now this season we have John Tinker for the first time. And it's been great. But at a certain point, there's a burnout factor when you're shooting a distant location like Vancouver, for those of us who live in the United States. Now, there are some shows in Canada where the writing staff lives in Vancouver. So they get to go home at night and sleep in their own beds. But for us gringos from the States, we have to, those distant locations can be really hard. Not so much on the movies that I've done, because I've done several movies during all these seasons. But I can go do that for a month or 6 weeks or something like that and be on location that way. And, it's doable. Television shows are different. And the next time we launch a show, and we're working on something right now, a new show that we're trying to launch for next year. And that we will dive in again, but Lord willing, we'll be able to shoot in a place that's closer to home.
Wouldn't that be nice?
It would be, yeah. So we have such a great production team in Vancouver that this thing it really runs itself in a way. Everybody knows their jobs. Everybody is like the president of their own division in the company. And we created the show, and we're, the bosses ultimately of the show. We love to give everybody on the crew a sense of ownership over their own arena, because they're so good at what they do. We just have professionals up and down the line. And so now the way I see it is I'm sort of a grandpa, and I get to look on my nanny cam at my grandkids. And this year with the virus, it's even more so that way.
Yeah.
In past years, I would be up there several times a season, looking in and being there on set, for a week or 2 at a time. This year, I'm not sure that's going to happen unless the travel ban gets lifted, because it's going to be hard to go sit in a hotel for 14 days
Yeah.
You know, that feels like jail. So I don't want to do that.
So from that collection of episodes that you wrote, do you have a favorite that you
I do.
authored?
I do. Well, that I have my fingerprints all over.
Yeah, one of those.
I love the episode "A Telling Silence" from season 1.
Such a good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I love that episode with Rosaline and helping her find her voice again, and Elizabeth having to go find her and to figure out why she had run off and you know why she was hurting so badly. I just thought that was such a powerful and poignant episode, and I loved the reunion with her mom. Right? That
yeah.
Oh,
I still cry watching that episode.
yeah, so powerful, and the torches in the fields as the town was looking for her. You know, it was
and
just
the
a very,
look between Jack and Elizabeth.
Yeah, that was a smile that could launch 1,000 ships. There,
I'm telling you.
that smile. And Michael directed that episode, and he just, I thought, did an amazing job on that one.
Yeah.
And I love that cave set too, because the coal mine set, because that was such an amazing thing that we were able to build in season 1, and we used it multiple times throughout the seasons, but it was a really cool set that we built that year. In that, and for those who don't know it, essentially the side of a warehouse became the entrance to that cave, and we built what you could call a starter mountain.
I've seen it. I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a picture from the farm.
Yes, on the side of that
Very
warehouse.
Cool.
And then literally the warehouse door became the cave entrance. And so we could follow the camera, from the outside into the cave, to the coal mine inside that warehouse. And it was such a cool aspect to the show that first season. And
really was.
And it was a big expense that we had to go to make that work.
I'm sure.
And then around the starter mountain, then we imported the mountains from Telluride, Colorado around it. And so the mountains that you see even in the show today are ones that we imported from Colorado. Visually. Yeah, put them on big trucks and moved them up to Vancouver. So.
It's the magic of Papa Hardy there.
Oh, yes.
There you go.
Magic touch right there.
Yeah, the magic of digital, and digital effects and, computer generated effects are fantastic for us nowadays in film and TV. It's amazing what can be done nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so believable now. And anyway, very cool. It's very fun. So anyway, that was my favorite episode from season 1. I would say my favorite episodes of the entire series.
Oh yeah, sure. If you want to, I would.
I'll tell you.
I'd love that one.
Yes,
my personal favorites, and there will be boos and hisses across the Hardyverse. I'm sure.
Oh dear.
Episodes 9 and 10 of season 5.
I
was
going to say that was so good. Yeah.
Yeah. As was episode 5 of season 5.
Yes.
It would be the next runner up there for that season. That was the episode where Jack went off to his duty. Right. And they were saying goodbye. remember that?
So you're talking about season 4, correct?
4.
Where he proposed and then left.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Yes.
that was
That's a good one,
my
too.
favorite.
Oh, my goodness.
And the reason why it was so moving to Erin and to the rest of the cast is they thought they might really be saying goodbye
Oh my god.
to Mounty Jack, to Daniel Lissing. Because that was during the time when I got that confused. Season 5, episode 5, season 5 was the wedding.
Right.
Yeah, it's like a wedding.
Which is another favorite.
It was absolutely, that was such a rich time right there.
Yes.
Even though for all of us, it was fraught with, anxiety, honestly.
Sure,
because,
of course. Yeah.
because we didn't know if Daniel was going to come back for season 5 at that point.
Oh, yeah.
There was still so much wrangling that had to go on there. And so, when they were saying goodbye, it was the actors, it was the real human beings saying goodbye. Not just the characters on the show. That's why
I need to hug Erin now.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, wow. that was why it was so powerful. That parting where he's riding off and she screams after him and he runs back to her.
I was sobbing my eyes out. I woke up my son. He was a baby at the time, and I was crying so hard that he woke up and he was crying. I'm sorry, honey.
Your kid, we're causing all kinds of future psychological problems for our children. So anyway, but that moment, and then those handful of episodes in season 5, the actual season 5, were for me the most powerful, eloquent, poignant, best acting.
For real.
They've all been good. I'm proud of all of them. How could I be not proud of every episode? But there are ones that just like when everything comes together, and there's other reasons, real human reasons for why there's a poignancy in those episodes. And so it was very powerful. And, I think a lot of Hearties were maybe traumatized, by some of those episodes. And I understand why. But and there's a whole narrative that has been sort of come up through the Heartyverse that doesn't really understand all the ins and outs of what really happened during those few seasons for us. There've been some Hearties who've gravitated or evolved into what they call Hearties, right? They're Hearties because we hurt their feelings and we triggered some trauma or some PTSD for some, maybe, I don't know. And they weren't too happy about that. But, this is we're making a fictional television show. And the good news is that the audience, the Hearties, have so connected with it and feel so deeply passionate about it that sometimes that deep passion turns into, real anxiety for them. And we obviously did not want to do that, but the real, in a business sense, the real truth is that, Daniel, after season 5, when he left and we did the big Facebook Live that maybe you saw that I hosted with Daniel and Erin
we saw it.
and Lori. Yeah, I mean, I think it's been seen by a couple million people at this point. It was amazing. An amazing, sort
response?
of supernova. Response, kind of a supernova response to that season. But Daniel had been feeling like he wanted to leave for quite a while. It didn't come up out of nowhere. But for those Hearties who felt like we sort of, drug them along for such a long period of time while we were trying to figure out how to resolve the situation and how to resolve Daniel or Jack's storyline and his character. Part of it was that, Daniel agreed to come back in more of a part-time role for a couple of seasons. And our hope was that maybe, he would change his mind and maybe he would want to stay.
Yeah.
Right. And so we were trying to string that out in such a way as to, hopefully Daniel would say, okay, no, you know what, I'm here. Let's just keep going. And, we were hoping for that. But at some point in season 5, we said, okay, well, we need to resolve this relationship. So let's get him married.
Oh,
But
thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Right.
I don't think I could have lived if he had died without them getting married. Oh, that would have been terrible.
But it was so clear to us that and Daniel didn't change his mind. He did indeed want to make season 5 his last on When Calls the Heart. So we had to get him married, and we had to, build the stories to get there.
Yes.
And then we sent him off, right? For a few episodes, and then he comes back and then he's gone, right? So we realized that the only way we could make it work for the audience, there was no other way to make this work for the Hearties. Then give them a catharsis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Because if, let's go through the options here. If we had broken Erin, Elizabeth and Jack up,
No.
the Hearties would hate us.
Yeah.
They would hate the whole show. They would hate us. They would hate the characters, the actors, everything.
It just doesn't seem plausible. It just does not even seem plausible.
No, if you literally know that one of your actors has to leave, right? And he's absolutely the romantic lead in the show.
Yes.
Right?
No getting around it.
Yeah. So either his duty is more important to him. That was another option. Like, you know what,
Right.
Elizabeth, I love you, but I'm a Mounty.
No.
Right? And I've been reposted to another place, and I'm going to lead the army against the outlaws and the whiskey runners and whatever. No, the audience hates that too. Right?
Caroline.
So we knew that our only option was that there was only one way for Jack Thornton to leave Hope Valley. And that was in a box. I hate to say it so bluntly,
but it's true.
But it's very true. It's heartbreaking.
We won't cry. We won't cry.
But honestly, this is life for all of us. We all will be in a box someday.
Right.
We have loved ones who will be in boxes and so forth. Right? It's part of our journey in life. The last time I checked, the mortality rate in America and in Canada was 100%. The last time I checked, right? 100%. So this is part of the life cycle. And we felt, okay, it's hard. We know it'll be hard. It'll be shocking. But the audience the Hearties need to grieve Mounty Jack.
Yes.
Right along with our town, right along with his new bride, with Elizabeth. So yes, the wedding and the death really were compressed.
Yeah.
Really were compressed. We get that. We understand that.
But it sounds like you didn't really have any other choice schedule wise.
Right.
Yeah, and for those well-intentioned Hearties that say, "Well, just recast Jack with another actor."
No.
No, guys, this is not 1960s hokey television. This is not Bewitched, where there was a brand new actor playing dead, in the show, from one season to the next. That doesn't work with today's audience. It just doesn't. We would never subject the audience to that. There was only one actor who could play Mounty Jack, and that was Daniel Lissing.
It's true.
We wouldn't do that with Erin. We wouldn't do that with Elizabeth, with Abigail, we've heard that same thing. Just recast Abigail. We would never do that. The best we can do is offer new characters that can help to fill some of those gaps. But so it's true that we know it was traumatic. It was traumatic in such a good way.
It really was.
It was.
It hurts. It hurts so good. It hurts so good.
Yeah,
right.
It's true.
Because then in episode 10, we cliffhang that season with Elizabeth. You're pregnant. A new bride who's pregnant.
I was just crying. Then
Oh, I know.
There could not have been a more powerful, profound. And that episode, Erin Krakow put on an acting clinic.
Oh, she
in
sure
that
did.
final episode of that season. She did. And we've actually had grief counselors contact us and ask us if they could use that episode, our permission to use that episode in their work with their grief, clients and patients that they're working with, because it is so powerfully. She goes through the 5 stages of
she does
grief,
so good.
Yes.
And it was the best performance. It should have been nominated for an Emmy, in my opinion.
Should have.
It really should have.
So
we'll
powerful.
give her an Emmy.
Yeah. And if
we'll give her one.
Yes, that's right. We'll give her a Hearty.
There you go. Give her a Hearties Emmy.
That's way better than an Emmy. And if you guys know the show Downton Abbey,
Yes.
right? Okay, so many Hearties probably enjoyed Downton Abbey, that show from Great Britain. Well, over in Great Britain, that show aired, 6 months before it aired in the United States.
Right.
So all the spoilers were available to viewers in the United States, right? If they were following the show as intensely as the Hearties follow When Calls the Heart, they knew, right? They knew that Matthew, at the end of season 3, Matthew dies in a car crash.
Right.
Right. So, and they had just gotten married literally in the season finale, the season before.
Right.
And they just had their baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he leaves the hospital, their
Yep.
baby boy, and he leaves the hospital and he dies in a car wreck. Right.
Yep.
Well, guess what? Guess what? I know for a fact that they went through the same thought process that we did. They went through the thought process on Downton Abbey, the writers and producers, of let's break them up. We had the beautiful Christmas wedding at the end of season 2, but let's, Dan Stevens, the actor playing, Matthew on that show, he wanted to leave as well. That it was, the actor wanted to leave the show. So they said, let's break them up. Let's give them irreconcilable differences. And then they slapped themselves and they said, are you nuts? The audience will hate us. They will hate the show. The show will be canceled. It will lose, it will lose its audience. It will lose its place on the air. And they said, no. We're gonna give the audience a catharsis. Well, we aren't stupid. We aren't stupid. we took a page from their playbook when we were trying to figure out how to do this on When Calls the Heart. And even though it was incredibly traumatic, and we have promised that the Hearties that we would not put them through another apocalypse like that, and we won't. The circumstances required it.
Yes.
And there was no conspiracy. There was no other narrative other than what I'm telling.
Yeah.
In all honesty, right here. And I love Dan Lissing. I still talk to him every so often.
Which I think is wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah,
Sweet.
and we all do. There's no hard feelings.
Oh,
at
yeah.
all, right. And if this were a story in Hope Valley, and one of our young people wanted to leave Hope Valley and go pursue their dreams in another city or whatever, what would the residents of Hope Valley do for that young person?
Go.
Yeah.
God bless you. We'll send you with food. We'll give you a send-off. We'll give you a party. We want you to thrive in your life. We want to celebrate your life, and we want to bless you in the best way possible, to give you wings in life.
Of course.
Right? Yeah. Well, that's what we did for Dan Lissing. That's what Dan wanted to do. That's what we as sort of Hope Valley people in making the show, we all agreed to do that. And he's happier for it. He might not have met his wife had he not made that choice.
I remember hearing him say that. Yeah.
Right. So, this is a good thing. This is a good thing that took place. It happened to, kind of emotionally ambush our fans. But last time I checked, our ratings are even better now than they were then. So it's not like a bunch of Hearties said, "Oh, we don't want any part of Hope Valley anymore," and left. Some might have. There might be a few that have, but they have either all returned and zipped it shut, right? Kept their mouths shut, or they have moved off and they're watching zombies. I don't know what else they would be watching, because there's really nothing else on television besides zombies and crystal meth dealers. But so if they find another family show, God bless. That's awesome. I want them to be happy. I'll be happy.
Of course.
Of course.
The show continues to gather fans because there's really nothing like it anywhere else on television. And it's not because we're, like I said last week, it's not because we're geniuses. It's because we came along at a time when people were hungry for hope.
Right.
And I think they're going to be even more hungry for season 8 than they were for season 7.
Are you kidding?
Oh, yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
So,
yes, So, there's so many thoughts here that I have, because season 5 was definitely one of those seasons where I was like, as were all of us, of course. But, thinking back, Jack and Elizabeth had such a deep relationship. So if he had to go, it had to be in a deep emotional way. And, a breakup that's cheap, whereas a death that's very deep, and it hits every single emotion. And like you said, we had to experience the 5 stages of grief with Elizabeth. So, I mean, I know I remember I was completely shook. I think my memory of the past 4 seasons, but
she blocked them.
Erased, But it's one of those episodes where you're just like, oh, but it's also so good. And I do love the tie-in at the end where, she is going through that grief, and then there is joy in the morning when she finds out that she's having a baby.
Right.
And I do have one question, and I mean, this is kind of it's a hard question.
Sure.
So I know that, there are so many circumstances there with Daniel Lissing wanting to leave the show and all of that. Is there a reason why his death was not as, romantic? Like he got
a
sick
sickness.
Like a sickness, kind of a, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because it just felt, the landslide felt a little, I don't know.
Yeah, it was
cold.
so shocking.
Yes.
So shocking. It was like, it was like being hit with a bucket of ice water all of a sudden. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the honest to God truth is that because Daniel was in a part-time mode those last 2 years, we only had a couple of episodes each year, and to get weddings,
Scarlet Fever would take forever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
I see.
also, you know, that's part of it, right? That is part of it. But this happens.
Yeah.
This happens in life, especially back then, right?
Yeah.
People don't, some people would die in bed, right? And you would watch them die over the course of, that would be worse to me than pulling the Band-Aid off, than ripping the Band-Aid off, because, for that grief to be prolonged over the course of a season or a course of many episodes, I think the audience would have hated that more because it would have just been like slow torture.
It's
Right.
true.
Right?
It's true.
And so, the same thing happened on Downton Abbey. Like I said, he leaves his wife at the hospital at the peak of their love. They're looking at their new baby boy. He leaves to go back to the estate. He gets in his car and he dies.
Yep.
Right? We wanted to leave Elizabeth and Jack at the peak of their love.
Yes.
Right? Before his passing. Because in order, that's not just, it's just not our show also to do, to drag out a long, death sequence or sickness sequence. So that's honestly, it's part practical because we didn't have Dan available for, except, literally 5 episodes is all we had. And we had to get him married and get him buried in 5 episodes. Right? I'm a writer. What do you want? Sorry. I write dialogue for a living. I'm good at it. So that's the real, chili meets the cheese honesty about the whole thing.
Right.
And, in hindsight, it's easier to talk about because it's not
Absolutely.
so fraught with, it's not so fraught with emotion and bruised feelings and things like that. We honestly knew it was coming for several months, but
right.
And there have been some Hearties that say that's not fair. You should have told us. Are you
I
kidding?
wouldn't want to know.
It's television.
No.
It's television. We would never give that away. It's television. Why would we give you the best thing ever away? Right? In our minds, it's the best way to conclude. It's the most powerful way to conclude. That's the best drama. We wouldn't just fritter that away.
Right.
Right? That makes
and
no
the wedding,
Yeah.
we would have all just
Yeah.
almost not disregarded it, but we would have been watching it with sadness instead of watching it with all of our joy.
Right.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. No, we know best about these things. The audience may think they know best, but this is what we do for a living. We have trained. If you were going to a brain surgeon to get a tumor out of your skull, would you tell the brain surgeon how to do it?
Right?
You wouldn't say, no, it'd be better if you cut over here. It'd be better if you go in that way. No, you would let the experts do their thing, right?
Yes.
Well, in a weird way, we are brain surgeons of what we do. We've been training for 25, 30 years on how to do this. And it's not arrogant. I'm not saying I'm the best at it of anybody else, or that our writers who wrote those episodes are the best at it of anybody else. But what we are saying is that we've trained in this arena. We do know what's best. It may not be what you like, right?
Right.
But it's what the show needs. And we believe it's what you need too.
Mm-hmm.
You may not want it, but we know it's what you need. So that's the way God works too, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
If he gave us everything we wanted, we would be miserable bums. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He gives us what we need, not what we want.
Yes.
Because we're not smart that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I honestly, that's the best I can do to try to help clarify this. And, there will be some people who still think it's like a big conspiracy, and, that's okay. God bless them. It's easier to stay there, I guess.
Yeah.
Bless their hearts.
Yeah. Bless your heart. Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Hearties, don't worry. We will be back bright and early tomorrow with the second part of this interview. So the Brian Bird interview part 2 has 2 parts. Anyways, thank you so much for listening. We are so grateful that Brian took the time out of his very busy schedule to talk to us about When Calls the Heart. And we are just so excited to share the second part of our conversation tomorrow. In the meantime, be sure you are following us on Instagram and on Twitter at Hearties Hotline. We are also running a giveaway currently, thanks to our friends at Edify Films, and we are giving away a coloring book and a journal. So be sure you check that giveaway out on Twitter, and we will see you tomorrow.